Beaters, widows, boss, ghouls, how you all doing? Review time, because I've just watched Spider-Man Brand New Day, and I loved it. So as well as Spider-Man Brand New Day, I also have these Marvel Legends figures. We have got the Hulk from Brand New Day, and the read-up on the back of this, Spider-Man is surprised to see the Hulk again after so much time has passed, and has no idea if Hulk will remember him. Will Hulk be a friend or foe? Well, neither really, because Hulk and Spider-Man have never interacted in the MCU. Just saying. Get it right, Marvel Legends, although this is a fantastic figure I will be reviewing soon. We've also got the Punisher, which is an awesome looking Punisher figure with his beard. They couldn't put this in the Spider-Man run because of the violence or some cack. But if we look at this Frank Castle, there's something off. He's got a beard. He didn't have a beard in this movie. Now, this body armor suggests it's from this movie, but the sleeves don't. In fact, the old one from Daredevil is the right body, just about. So I'm going to have to swap the heads, I think, to make a Spider-Man one. And of course, we've got Spider-Man himself, so this is a little different from the final swing that I didn't buy. But we got some webbing and a big Hulk. Can't wait to get those open and to review those. I'll probably do all three in one video, to be fair, because it's for one movie. Before we get into the actual movie, what I thought of the movie, I'm just going to say the following. I am not the biggest fan of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man trilogy. I don't like Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. I'm not the biggest fan of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man 2 films because, well, the second one absolutely sucked and they were a little bit too dark. He was a great Spider-Man. His Peter Parker was a little bit too emo. Tom Holland is a fantastic Peter Parker. He is a fantastic Spider-Man, but the last three films have not been great Spider-Man movies for me. The reason for that is the shoehorning. The first one, we get the Vulture, a Marvel comic book Spider-Man villain. They turn him into a Tony Stark created villain. Spider-Man's just sort of there and is created by Tony Stark. The second one, Mysterio, an historic Spider-Man villain created by Tony Stark in the movies. And I'm like, let him just do his own thing, damn it. So much of the MCU, there's too much of Stark tech and all of that sort of stuff, the suits. Like, we've jumped decades of the comic books. Stop it. Thankfully, they mostly have. The third one, I was like, right, this is really cool. We've got the Sinister Six, kind of, but it's not Tom Holland's Sinister Six. This is historically the Sinister Six from two other franchises. Cool movie, but again, I just wanted Tom Holland to have his time to shine with his villains. And unfortunately, this new movie does the same thing. We don't get a Spider-Man-centric villain. And spoiler alerts for this entire video, it's one of the X-Men is the main villain. And I'm like, damn it, couldn't she have been under the control or being manipulated by a Spider-Man villain, Chameleon, or somebody? No. But that's not to say that I disliked this movie. I think, even just after the first viewing, I think this is my favourite Spider-Man movie because it had heart, because it had that depression surrounding Peter Parker, that loneliness that the comic books are known for. He's just constantly got the weight of his world. For the first time, I felt it with Peter Parker. And I'm one of the people that has become very bored of the MJ and Ned friendship and storyline and love interest and all of that. And like the memory wipe, just keep them out of it. They haven't done that. They've brought them back, but they've brought it back and done it well. There's an emotional stake to this. I think they need to do something else with Ned after this movie. I don't know what that is. Hobgoblin. That's going to become boring again really quick. MJ, I don't know, introduce the Black Cat, introduce Gwen Stacy, introduce something else from Spider-Man's past to keep this Spider-Man universe going. In this movie, we got the Punisher played by Jon Bernthal. I love Jon Bernthal's Punisher, and he's in this movie a lot more than I thought he was going to be, and I'm glad, because the Punisher's first appearance in Marvel comic books was Spider-Man, so it works for me. The Hulk being in this, and I'm like, oh, they're going to do the whole Marvel thing, and now Banner's going to be like this mentor, and it's going to be two MCU. Not the case. It absolutely might make sense why Parker would go to Banner for help, considering that Peter Parker is, through his depression and through becoming Spider-Man full-time, and Peter Parker taking the back seat, the arachnid part of Spider-Man, or Peter Parker, is taking over. It's causing these headaches, and his eyes to turn black, and webbing issues, and we are going full spoilers, so don't watch from this point out. unless you've seen it. Spider-Man is doing his Spider-Man thing. We get a 5-year history, I think it is, condensed down into a couple of minutes where he fights various villains like Tarantula and Scorpion, Boomerang. I was like, yep, this is cool. We see him checking in on MJ and Ned through Instagram posts or whatever. I've seen a lot of people complain that this intro was too choppy, too long, too this, too that. I didn't feel any of that. I really enjoyed it. There were rumours that Tombstone was going to be the main villain at some point, and he was kind of a hidden villain that they only showed a few frames for. Now there's rumours that most of his stuff was left on the cutting room floor because we got about 3 seconds of him, I think. It was fine. Could have done with more? Yeah. The main villain of this movie is, in fact, Sadie Sink's character, who we probably all know by now is Jean Grey. Now, while I don't have an issue with that, I do have an issue with why can't Tom Holland's Spider-Man have his own Spider-Man villains? Front and centre, without any input from anyone else in the MCU. Spider-Man has a fantastic rogues gallery. Use them and use his rogues gallery. But they don't. But it is what it is. This movie's storyline is good enough where I can forgive that. And that's my only negative on the movie, is can we please get some Spider-Man villains in the building? So this Jean Grey, played by Sadie Sink, is fantastic. She's evil, she's nasty, but there's reason for it. And it all hinges around her sister and Damage Control. And Damage Control has kidnapped her sister. She wants to rescue her sister. Her sister's got the same mutant powers. Cool. And then she's like, yeah, but there's this thing called V-Star. I think it's V-Star. I may be slightly off there, but I'm like, V. Oh, no, they're going to do Venom already. Don't do Venom yet. We've only just got rid of the other horrible Venom films. Let Tom Holland breathe. Now we've got this brand new day, not straight into the suit. And as it was, they explained it fine at the end, and I was like, a little red herring for us fans, and I appreciated it. V-Star turned out to be nothing other than the brand of a Ceiling fan or an Extraction fan, and it was the last thing her sister saw because they've killed her. Spoiler alert. So we see Peter Parker living a very quiet, mundane, lonely life, but we see Spider-Man flourishing. The police like him, the police chief likes him, he's got the key to the city. Life for Spider-Man is good, but he's been Spider-Man for so long with so little Peter that there's this thing going on with him biology-wise, where the arachnid DNA is starting to take over and he's getting these headaches and stuff. So he goes to none other than Bruce Banner for help. Of course he would. Bruce Banner got control of the Hulk. Bruce Banner had this inhibitor that we've seen in a couple of places now that stops him going full Hulk, allowed him to become Professor Hulk, or allowed him to suppress the rage-filled monster. So it made sense that Peter Parker, whilst trying to keep this sort of newfound aggression within himself, and the fact that he's growing an organic webbing, which is really cool. There was little nods to the original Spider-Man trilogy, but then there was also some really gross-out moments. Cool. So he asks Banner for help, and Banner warns him, do you really want to start messing with things like that? And of course, Peter Parker does mess with things like that in the inhibitor. Could this be used to suppress certain genes? Ooh. I'm just going to say now, is this where the inhibitor collars from Deadpool and Wolverine come from? Or Deadpool 2, sorry. Is this where the inhibitor collars from Days of Future Past? Is that where they come from? Has Peter Parker created the technology on accident to control mutants? Meaning that he wasn't just used to set up the X-Men universe with just Jean Grey, that he has negatively impacted their future, and we can always keep Spider-Man and the X-Men in the same sort of lane. It'll keep them interacting, which is fine because we know the MCU is going to change. We are going on the mutant saga as opposed to Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow and Hawkeye. And I'm excited for that. Obviously, actors have aged out, contracts have ended. My only negative I've already mentioned. If I've got anything mixed on this, I can't think of it off the top of my head. Other than the Spider-Man villains we got in Tombstone, Tarantula and stuff, we could have used them more. Scorpion was used more, but technically wasn't because it was Jean Grey possessing him. And I'm like, oh, can't we just let Spider-Man villains have fun for a bit, please? But we get Spider-Man trying to chase Jean Grey. Jean Grey is trying to chase down her sister. Unbeknown to her, the sister is dead. In order for her to go after Spider-Man, she works out that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. She can't infiltrate him the way she can with others, and to a point, he can see her when she's in other people's bodies, and it's really cool until his arachnid side starts to take over, and then he loses the ability, and she tricks him horribly with MJ. Horribly. It's disgusting. Really felt for Peter. And this is the main thing that makes this the best Spider-Man movie for me, is just the cruelty to Peter Parker. Just the nastiness to poor Peter. But poor Peter is a thing. Peter Parker is lonely, and when he does get some glimpses of happiness, it's always rug pulled from him. And we are finally getting that. But Tom Holland isn't just this mopey asshole like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. He isn't this emo of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, or Peter Parker even, because the Spider-Men were all okay. I'm just fully invested in this. Now, I was very bored of the MJ and Ned storylines, but the reset because of the memory wipes, and now him trying to get back to them, and it not quite working the way he wanted, has got me reinvested. MJ, we can keep Ned. They need to do something with Ned. This ain't going to work for much longer. Make him the Hobgoblin. Please. We need to introduce the Osborns, Black Cat. We need to bring in Gwen Stacy, Captain Stacy. We need to start introducing Spider-Man villains and Spider-Man side characters into Spider-Man. A lot of them, and then he can still dip his toes into the MCU via the Punisher, via the X-Men, and via Daredevil / Matt Murdock. I'm cool with all of that. There's a lot of heart in this movie. The web swinging in this movie, I personally think, is the best they've ever done. While they tried to do a lot of practical effects, apparently it got to editing and they realised they couldn't do what they wanted, so they've had to CGI a lot of it. But it works, it looks cool. It certainly seems like they've based a lot of the web swinging and even some of the fighting on the video games of Spider-Man. And I'm all for it because they were fantastic video games, fantastic looking video games. So that's all great. Really enjoyed all of that. The chemistry with Zendaya and Tom Holland, second to none in this. What really surprised me is the relationship between the Punisher and Spider-Man, or Frank and Peter. It was great. The banter between them, and Spider-Man like, I saved your life, and we never work out or get told why, but there's enough there for us to be like, remember Natasha Romanoff and Clint Barton, and you're like, what did happen back in their past? Because they keep referencing it, but you never know. I hope they do that with Peter and the Punisher. But their interactions, their banter, and almost Peter Parker stopping Punisher going R-rated by webbing his mouth, and just like stopping him killing people by like just webbing a gun and webbing a grenade. And you know, you've got John Bernthal like, God damn it, and shit. And you're like, yes, they've managed to keep him adult enough without it being silly, but they've also managed to silence him enough without it standing out. Really enjoyable. I can't wait to see more Bernthal in the main MCU. He's a fantastic actor. Awesome. So the story keeps continuing, and Peter's depressed and he's got these headaches, and then he starts getting this organic webbing, and the organic webbing's confusing him. So he goes to Bruce Banner. Can you help me? What about this inhibitor? Bad idea. And Sadie Sink does the second of her most evil things, apart from all the killing. She takes over Banner and turns him into Smart Hulk, and she's trying to control Smart Hulk to fight Spider-Man and Punisher. And they're both outmatched even by Smart Hulk. But the speed of Spider-Man and the brutality of Punisher, this is a great fight sequence until something snaps in the Hulk and Sadie Sink loses control. Hulk was strong enough to push her out, and then he full goes Rage Hulk again. And I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Spider-Man has brought back the angry Hulk. He's brought back the Punisher. Let's go. And the fight, while it's short, is absolutely incredible. And I love that Spider-Man didn't win. He didn't lose, but he didn't win. Hulk let him win in a kind of roundabout way, but that worked for me. And what was really cool was there was this battle between Spider-Man and Hulk, but also Spider-Man trying to stop Punisher doing too much damage to Professor Hulk, because Peter Parker knows he'll full Hulk. And then there's Sadie Sink trying to control any of these three at certain times, and then she loses control of Hulk and she takes over Punisher, and John Bernthal's Punisher suddenly turns, well, camp and full of sass, and he's like snapping fingers and dropping one-liners, and I was like, this is great. It's Marvel humour, but it's not so over the top that it got annoying. Thor: Love and Thunder. I like this chemistry, this story, this arc for all of these characters. It's all intertwined and done so well, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. This film is just so well directed, and I like the score. I like the music that they put in there. Just fantastic. It's not breakneck pace. The first 5 minutes are, but then it slows, and then there's like faster elements, and then it slows, and then there's heart, and then there's fun, then there's battles, and I'm like, this is almost the perfect Spider-Man movie for me. And we're introduced to damage control, and it's like, I think they tried to have this as a twist. The damage control are really evil, and I'm like, I know those guys are bad as soon as I look at them. And I know they've already killed Jean Grey's sister, and I already know that's Jean Grey. These are the worst kept secrets ever, and I didn't go looking for any of them. I tried to avoid them, but it was cool. It was fun. Spider-Man's accent in this as well. There are certain places where he goes more New York than he's ever done before, and that's good. That's great. There's a bit where he walks out of damage control, and what the line he delivers was just like perfect New York accent for a Brit listening. People from New York might be like, that sucked. I ain't from New York. So then we've got Jean Grey gets captured, realises that the whole thing with the system, V-Star, the realisation for her is her sister's been dead this entire time, it's all been pointless. And for us, it's like, holy shit, we feel that, because it's like, oh, it's not Venom, thankfully. It's just a red herring for her and us. Oh my god, this is disgusting. Go on, Jean Grey, you can just fuck them up now. And she does. Then there's this battle with Jean Grey, Spider-Man, and Damage Control, and Peter's trying not to have anyone die. Jean wants everyone to die. Damage Control want Jean to die, but not really, because they want her powers. They want to experiment further on her. They keep pushing her, and her powers, they get stronger, and you're like, this is where Jean Grey from the X-Men's coming in. And then the battle doesn't end with any of those. The battle ends with the Punisher, because the Punisher attempts to kill Jean Grey. He snipes her with this massive 50 cal sniper, fires from I don't know how far away in New York. Peter sees and hears because of his spider sense, throws himself into the bullet, saves Jean Grey, and then Jean Grey in turn saves Spider-Man. I think she like captures his consciousness and keeps it for his body to heal. And then we get that scene from, I think it's Civil War, the comic book, with Punisher walking into a hospital. I need some help, holding Spider-Man in a bashed up suit. And I was like, this is all really cool. Spider-Man heals. Jean Grey gives his conscience back. And I'm like, this was really well done. I was kind of worried about this movie. I like it. His last good deed is the funniest part of the movie, but it works for me. He's like, I can get you out of here and keep your anonymity. So he sends Peter Parker out as a human, while Frank Castle dons the Spider-Man mask and gloves and starts waving at the audience and waving at the people outside the hospital in support of Spider-Man. And even Tom Holland stood there looking at him like, this is amazing. He's seeing the love from the city and seeing the Punisher act like an idiot. But all we see is this. And he's like... And then it cuts inside the hospital, a shot from behind looking at Frank, and he's doing the Punisher grunting and growling. Roar! I proper belly laughed at that. I thought it was fantastic. So overall, I had a whale of a time with this film. It's my favourite Spider-Man movie so far. And I'm not just talking about the Tom Holland movies. Out of all of them, this is the most they've nailed Spider-Man, Peter Parker, the people around him. And even though I think we need Spider-Man villains or Spider-Man-centric villains, it worked this time. Please stop doing it. But this thing of having the Punisher in the MCU, you know, we've got Spider-Man and the X-Men, and they're closer in age, so this is the future. I'm down with that. And I'm glad that Spider-Man, on his 4th movie now, and he's been in the Avengers movie, he is now responsible for setting up this other franchise, this X-Men, instead of him just being used to bolster Iron Man or to bolster Doctor Strange, or, you know what I mean? But yeah, I absolutely loved this. 9 out of 10 movie for me. I had a whale of a time. I took my daughter, she loved it, and she loves all of the Spider-Man movies. And she was like, yeah, I think that's my favourite too, which is, it says a lot. I mean, this has been out it's been out over a week now, and the cinema was still pretty packed. We couldn't even book for the day before. Thoroughly enjoyed it. The thing with the hand, that was a bit sort of off, and it was like, oh, don't worry about those. They work for us now. And it's like, that's the hand. And if they are working with you, why are they still dressed as ninjas at lunchtime? Just struck me as a bit odd. But the fight later with them in Damage Control, where Spider-Man just sort of lets the spider go, absolutely brilliant. Loved it. So the Hulk and Banner were used far less than I thought they would be, and I'm glad of that. Punisher was used far more than I thought he would be, and I'm glad of that. They did drag out. That's Jean Grey. Oh! we all knew. We all knew the second CD Sync was cast, and it was like, let's try and throw them off by saying this character that was already been in Daredevil, which is now canon. So no, it wasn't. It wasn't Daredevil, was it? It was Iron Fist. Why can't I remember her name? Typhoid Mary. I like it's she's going to be Typhoid. No, she's not. She was Jean Grey all along. We all knew it the second they picked a red-headed, pale-skinned girl to play her. So the future of the MCU is looking bright again for me, and thankfully, because, you know, there were some bad moments. Listen, I loved Thunderbolts. I really enjoyed Fantastic Four. Didn't love it, but it was cool enough. Shang-Chi was amazing. There's been some turkeys, and if rumours are true, and if the Disney Plus TV show era is stopping, let's bring Daredevil, Frank Castle, and all those characters into the mainstream MCU. Give them movies or put them in movies. We can't lose these characters again, because if you do it, you can't use them again. You'd have to completely reboot them. I think people are going to be really pissed if Marvel do that. So let me know what you thought of the movie in the comment section down below. I know this review is all over the place. I didn't want to script it. I just wanted to go from there with it because I just thoroughly enjoyed this. It's the most I've enjoyed a Spider-Man movie ever. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. If you didn't, that's absolutely fine. We've all got opinions. These are just my thoughts and my opinions on a movie that I absolutely loved. So let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of the movie. Much love to you all. Beardo out.